I will go get the stand, okay?
Okay, great.
Setting up. And then press done. There we are.
Yeah, it shows us, but this is yes.
I hear them.
Anybody else there? Oh, do you hear me? Yes, but I don't see me on this.
Oh, that's you. Wait.
Zoom, where we've got YouTube.
Done. There you go. Now we're done. Good. We're there.
Okay, so
I
now-
see. Yeah. I'm gonna go get the,
Great, okay, if you get the stand,
there
that's,
you are. I'm gonna go get the stand. I think we're good.
okay. Anybody else here, participants? Yep,
Yep, there's somebody there.
okay, so how do I get to here? Yes, so,
Do you want to change?
the host,
No.
do I want to change the host? Probably not, unless they talk. Ask all to unmute,
Yeah.
okay, and there's nobody else here.
I see somebody else. There's somebody else there, isn't there? Yeah.
Okay, yes,
Yes.
you are there.
I'm gonna go get the stand. I'll be right back.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, we've got one person.
Anishma,
Okay, and now we have,
are you having troubles with the transmission?
well, I don't know how to, we need to get our stand, but I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out how to let anybody else in.
Okay. I already can see the transmission of YouTube. Okay. See you then.
Okay, so we're on supposedly. Oh, we have Facebook commenting on things, so this is the meeting. Is it on? Do you see me?
Yes, it's transmitting
Yes,
in
do you?
YouTube.
I see meeting settings. Always show meeting controls, closed captioning. Okay, so I'm there, so you're on Zoom and I'm there, but now what do we have to do to let people in? Is anybody else there? Nobody.
Please wait.
I don't know what to do here. It says I've got video. Do you see me? Jacques,
Yeah.
do you see me?
I'm trying to see you in the YouTube channel. I was waiting.
Okay, so then how do I get back to the Zoom here? I need to see the Zoom, right?
Now, I can see the logo. I can see you in Zoom also.
Okay, so now I'm on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
You are speaking and I'm here. Okay, so now we'll try and get this thing on.
I think I
And
got
it doesn't allow me to admit people. I mean, I see that,
I don't know what I did here.
oh no, that's just in this one here.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna put this up here.
A veces nosotros podamos compartir la información con nuestros respectivos. Es prestación, compañeros.
This side of the corner.
Que suele darse
But open. I think we need to do it or like the way that it's.
Okay. And where is the hole that goes for the?
There's no hold. I think it's held by the little.
No, no,
thing.
there's a hole for the-
Now I can see you in the both sides, in the Zoom and in the YouTube.
Okay.
You're
So
transmitting okay in every
Can I try, John?
both sides.
we're trying to get the machine attached. It's usually on the corner. See, it usually goes by the corner. So if you we each could put two corners, and the other corner, the other one, the one that
Like this?
kitty corner.
So this would be one corner and that would be the other.
Yeah,
corner.
but it has to be diagonal.
I think so.
Well, it was with rabbis, but not yours.
Nope, I think we're gonna have to stand it up. Where are you gonna stand? For
The corner,
tablet?
the case doesn't come off, does it?
No, because it belongs to a school district.
Do it by the sides. Let's see if we
Okay.
can do it on the side. No, I mean, just,
Sorry, guys. Way
here,
that
here,
we
just,
could-
just this way. Just like,
this. Is this the one that he puts? I think he puts his.
yeah, he
his-
puts his there.
So why don't we stand it here?
Okay, but I hate to.
Can
do-
we put, oh, but yours, you're not on the, okay, well. I think we're gonna have to put it here. We're gonna speak from,
Well, I guess for the service.
yeah,
but For adult education, I don't normally, but that's all
we're gonna have to make do, I don't know what else to do.
right, yeah. Okay, we're having troubles here as usual.
Hear us?
Well, anybody else there that can speak? Let them in.
I think they're there, I see somebody here.
Yeah, okay, but I don't hear anyone.
Can you hear us?
Are you there? Do you hear us? No, so this is not coming out.
Let me see if it's the volume.
John, I can hear you just fine.
Okay,
Oh, you can hear
perfect.
us, okay.
We're
We
good.
didn't- We can't fit it on the stand here.
Yeah.
Because it's a different machine.
Did you
okay?
see the text or the message in the chat?
No, I see no text.
Okay, so in your controls,
Yeah,
if you make, I've got two logins for
yeah,
this
Okay.
meeting. If you take the
Yes.
one that says computer,
yeah.
the one that says computer, not camera, but computer, and you make that one a co-host, I can administer the admissions for the meeting, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so where would we go?
I don't know,
So would I hit more?
probably.
My options are security, record to the iCloud chat, meeting settings, minimize meeting, background and filter, stop live stream, disconnect audio.
No, okay, so that's for the Zoom session at large. I think you need to go to the actual, where it says participants on the main screen.
Okay, I see it. I see
Okay,
it.
and then,
Okay.
and then click on the one of mine that says computer. And that should give you
Yeah.
options for the individual participant.
Okay, I'm
Is
there.
there an option to make co-host?
Yes. So I
Okay.
hit on that.
Yeah, do that.
Okay,
And then,
I did that. You're gonna.
Okay, and I'm on a different one.
okay, so yeah, I'm co-host now, so I'll monitor the participant roster for admissions, and I'll take care of admissions for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So we're
No
good.
problem. No
We're
problem.
gonna Turn that one off.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go back to mute.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Oh, I did turn off the sound. But that's the only way I'll hear anybody.
The feedback is from.
Yeah, okay.
From that mic picking up your speaker.
Okay. So I'm muted here. So
I
we
think
have
you're good.
something, and we can't put it on the stand.
Nope. So,
Stand doesn't work.
no, if the case is too big.
Okay, so this is our pseudo adult education, whatever's going on here. And it's not plugged into the Zoom system. Do you hear me? Yes, okay. So basically what we want to do is to get this Zoom off. Get rid of this one. And I'll
You just leave.
stop video. Okay, and so, well, let's see what the adult education has to say. Because I can't get the text on here and I'm not seeing it. Can you put that on? There we go. So we've got a text, we've got something. I'm going to get the commentary too. And
Will you let me back in? I'm gonna get the door stopper.
okay, we're starting to get going here. So the Pirkei Avot, chapter 5. The beginning of chapter 5, and it's basically talking about numbers, all right? And is anybody else there? Okay. So this numerology, Scott, did you get to look at this stuff?
I haven't looked at this week's yet.
Okay, so,
But enough, I forgot to, so.
but the Pirkei Avot seems to be degraded into a sort of a mystical use of numbers, right? And so the world is created with 10 utterances, and all they do is they're using that to emphasize the importance of what the creation is in basically 10 numbers of one sort, 10 utterances. And that says that it's very important. If it's 10, it's more than 0. And that's sort of what they're saying. Then the other is that if you do wicked, you're hurting 10 times as bad. All right. And the Mishnah 2 then talking about lessons of God. And so it's a schematic version of history. So they're dividing all of history into 10 pieces, 10 periods, and from Adam to Noah, and showing how God is very patient And so he puts up with everything up until 10 times, and then that's too much. Anybody else have anything to say, or would you please say something that I hear you? Is this important?
I can say something, but
Well, I don't know what's important, because basically it says God's going to punish you but even though he's patient, he's finally going to do it. So then they're looking at this 10 generations, and I'm looking in the commentary, and then they're getting fine tuning, which I do not know what it means, because fine tuning is, it's 10 periods of time. Abraham taught them the repentance is possible. And I think they're just juggling numbers, which to me, I guess I'm not sure how important it is. And then he said that how great is the love of Abraham, the 10 trials that Abraham withstood to be counted in several ways. I don't remember hearing too much about trials, but he with his wives, his move, his sons, the occasion of the war with the kings, and this way of rabbinical study is, to me, sort of how many angels stand on the head of a pin. And so I guess I'm not terribly attracted to it, except that this is a period that is basically 600, 400 BC, something like that. So it's quite a while ago. And then they go on to Mishnah, 10 miracles wrought for our ancestors in Egypt, and they figure out how the 10 plagues, well, those I knew about, but then they're wrought for their ancestors, they're spared the 10 plagues, they're afflicted with the Egyptians, and all of this is weighing how God is wonderful. And then they talk about the water plagues, the things to do with the ocean and the flood and all that sort of stuff. And I must say, I, again, don't follow what the importance is of all of this numerology. But then they're listing the various miracles. And so the practical problems, imagine in Jerusalem. And so they talk about for example, there's no running water, and the sacrifices are likely to smell, and nothing smelled. The fire didn't go out. Nobody got nauseated and threw up when they smelled something bad. And so that's a miracle. And I guess, to me, again, I haven't learned much from the fathers, the Avot. Then they said they created 10 things on the end of Sabbath at twilight, which I don't understand. The mouth of the earth, the mouth of the well, the mouth of the donkey, the rainbow, the manna, the staff of Moses, the shamir, the letters, the writing, and the tablets. And so basically all sorts of wonderful things happened. And I have no idea what these mean. It needs a rabbi, needs somebody with a little better smarts than I have.
Rabbi discussed that last week.
Yeah, okay, good.
He said that the premise of that was that that there was some sort of theological tension there. If there was any hint that there was creation after the seventh day. And so the way they explained around it was, all these things that would have been creative works of God were actually done right at the last moments of the sixth day of creation, and then just released into the world in their time, but they were actually created during the singular creation.
Yeah, because you're going to have things like, if you're going to have a thing to light a fire with, what is... okay, but I guess I still have trouble following how this is all important, because they're trying to justify how God creates everything, even the things that are not there. that would need something else before they existed, right? Like the ram that Abraham finds in the thicket. And so going on to 8, because, well, first of all, the next thing that I find is interesting is in 7, they're talking about a clod. 7 things you find in somebody who is a clod, who is not nice guy, and 7 in a wise man. The wise man doesn't speak before one who is greater than he in wisdom. He does not interrupt people. He's not hasty to answer. He asks what's relevant. He answers to the point, and he speaks of the first point first and the last point last. And concerning that which he has not heard, he says, I haven't heard it. And he acknowledges the truth, and the reverse of these are what's in a clod, who I guess that's a form of insult for somebody, right? A clod. According to Maimonides, a clod is a person in whom are to be found moral and intellectual virtues, but in a state of incompleteness and not functioning right. So they're sort of a half-assed genius, I guess. And then he lists the qualities of the wise man. In the end, tells it the opposite of true for a clod. So it's nice to be good and wonderful. And I guess I'm having trouble finding a whole lot out of that, except that you're supposed to behave right. You don't break into somebody else's speech. You want to hear what people have to say. Don't answer too quick. And that's about the story with a cloud. The next thing, we're going to 8. People should check their behavior to see if perhaps calamities or punishments for what they have done. So it's true, people will often not be able to see a direct correlation between what happens to them and what their actions are. Judaism continues to believe that there is a relationship between what happens to you and what you've done. And that's, to me, I guess it's the demand in Judaism that we don't sit around and have a leap of faith, right? In other words, we believe that it all makes sense, even if we don't understand it enough, but we don't say, oh, well, stop thinking about that because you just accept it in faith. To me, this is sort of like the directions I was given in studying French grammar in high school, where they said, stop complaining, it's just policy, it's just the way it is. And that, yeah, I think is one of the biggest divisions I find between Judaism and Christianity, which says, go and just accept on faith. You have to believe that there really is a logic there, even if you can't understand it. And so that, to me, I thought was an important thing. And so plagues are in some way punishment for what we and all of us have done, but there is a sense to it, and God is it. So that's what I'm taking out of that. Now, then the next thing is on 8, they're talking about the tithes and people who are, whether we're basically doing charity the way we're supposed to. And it winds up, to me, the most exciting part of it is, it says that when they have decided to set apart the dough offering, and an all-consuming famine comes, when making bread, Jewish law dictates that a piece of the dough is separated and given to the priest. And the dough is called challah, and that's where this comes from. And if Jews don't separate the challah and they don't separate tithes, a total famine will come. So this is, again, something bad going to happen if you don't behave right. And then the next thing I thought was interesting, and at least in the commentary, fruit that grows on its own during the sabbatical year may be collected in order to eat it, but you can't sell it. All right, and so you're not supposed to take that which was meant for charity for yourself. And then they say all sorts of bad things happen, and mentioning in the commentary that the Sadducees are the one who thought literal interpretations of the Torah, whereas the Pharisees used tradition to help them interpret and make legal rulings. Now, then Mishnah 9 is talking about calamities that happen to the world as a result of sin. Wild beasts come to the world for swearing in vain, for the profanation of the name, exile for idol worship, promiscuity, murder, and the failure to leave the land fallow in the sabbatical year. And so I don't understand why this 4 periods that they're talking about, the 4th year because of the neglect of the tithe of the poor that must be given on the 3rd year. You know, it is, if you don't do the right thing, things aren't going to happen good. And that's all I can take out of that. And I'm sorry, I don't have a rabbinical scholar to teach me. So basically, pestilence comes as a result of crimes involving food, which they find they're somehow connected. And so it tells when the pestilence is going to happen, and robbing poor is not good. Any other thoughts on this or questions that I can't answer, of course? 4 types of people. Now that's cute. What's mine is mine. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. That's not nice. One who says what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours, that's plain old people. And they say that this is the character of a sodomite, who basically, the people of Sodom didn't get such a great shake anyway, so it didn't help them. What's mine is yours and what's yours is very chesed, a pious person. And what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine is wicked. Well, you know, that's, again, not a surprising conclusion, but basically, again, we guess the Jews had their own Ben Franklin long in advance. That's sort of what I'm reading most of these Mishnahs as. The types of temperaments: easy to become angry, easily appeased, hard to become angry, hard to be appeased. Basically, patience and forgiveness is not a bad idea. And so a virtue canceling a flaw of somebody if you're angered and easily appeased. 4 types of student: quick to understand and to forget, slow to understand and slow to forget. The virtue cancels cancels everything, it cancels the flaw. And quick to understand and slow to forget is a smart guy. When he's slow to understand and quick to forget, he's a bad guy. Well, that's, you know, not a surprise. And again, we're going to the charity, which is those who wants to give, but others should not give. That basically, if you don't spread the virtue of charity, you're not doing much. And cruelty, desire to see people suffer is no good. So the next, and again, I don't have any brilliant thoughts on this, except it's nice to learn and not forget, period. That's easy. So then they're talking about the students here. Those who attend and gain the rewards of going, and they, it's better to do it than to study it, it's, not a surprise. I wish I knew something smarter about this, but it basically says be a good student, and that's good. And you need to study it and practice it. And setting a good example. And then finally, we're getting these very parallels: a sponge, a funnel, a strainer, and a sieve. Okay, so that sounds interesting. A sponge sops up everything. A funnel filters out and lets it out the other way, and basically at least filters it out. A strainer is rejecting the wine and retaining the sediment. That's not so smart. And the unfortunate student lets out the wine and keeps the lees, which is not much good. And a sieve gets the important stuff.
There might
So
be some,
doing much with this. Do you have any thoughts about this? Is
I
there
have,
any here. Because they're just describing who's good people and how you're supposed to behave.
John,
So 16 is interesting about love and dependency, because if your love depends upon something happening, then when it ceases, the love ceases. And basically, and they make the example of love of Amnon for Tamar. He got hot for her, and as soon as he got her, not interested anymore. Whereas David and Jonathan, they're talking about people whose love transcends everything. So 17.
John, can you hear me?
Yes.
So can we take a step back? You'd asked about some of the ones before.
Yeah,
I tried to chime in. I don't know if my mic wasn't working.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Something that I don't know if it's right or not, but might be worth considering is that there's other times when things appear in fours. And one that sort of stands out in memory is the types of children in the
Right.
Haggadah.
Sure. In the
And
Seder, yeah.
yeah, and what sort of strikes me about that is that the rabbinical tradition isn't about, or doesn't interpret that as that there's actually these four types of kids. The interpretation there usually is that we all have all four of those kids, all of us.
Yeah, those characteristics.
And I'm thinking that in this case might be similar, that when it describes like these types of characters and these types of students and these types of proselytes with the sages, I'm wondering if it may be interpreted more along the same lines, that it's not that these are good people, these are bad people, these are good students, these are bad students, but we all have all of these in us, and we need to be aware of how we feed or don't feed those tendencies in ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's a marvelous thought, and I'm glad you stopped with that, because I wasn't seeing how important that was, because it is, in fact, all of us have those characteristics. And like in the Haggadah, the wise child, the wicked child, the simple one, and the one who is not old enough to figure out how to ask a question. And I think that's same. And so they're looking about the sponge, the funnel, the strainer, and the sieve. We all do that to some extent. I think that's probably quite right. That we all have those characteristics. Sometimes we just take the word at face value. Other times we interpret it appropriately. Sometimes we perversely attend it, and other times we're not paying attention, and so all of us have those characteristics. I think you're right. It's a very good comment. So let's go back and find something else here. Love, which is dependent upon. That was the 16, was a love that is dependent on something. So that basically, if my love for a person or a thing depends upon that person's qualities, that is pretty transient, because as soon as those qualities disappear, we're done with. If love is based on your inner belief in loving, then whatever happens to the object of the love does not make this go away. I think that's a good point. And they're talking about David and Saul versus Tamar, Amnon and Tamar. And I had forgotten those stories, so that's very good. So then disputes for the sake of heaven will in the end endure, and that is not for the sake of heaven will not endure. So basically, the controversy of Hillel and Shammai, so okay, so if you induce sin in the community, you basically can't repent because your sin has been multiplied by the performance of others. So Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, sinned and caused the community to sin. So the community's sin is attributed to him, as is stated, for the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned and caused Israel to sin. That, I guess, is the responsibility of leadership. And so I think some of us have been recently entertained with thoughts of the January 6th events in the country, that if leaders induce others to misbehave, then they're responsible. And that's something that the responsibility isn't showing up too terribly frequently in our government. And so basically, then in 19, we're going to, I don't follow that very well. Basically, they're saying that you're following a disciple of Abraham and three other things: the disciples of Balaam, the wicked, a good guy, a humble spirit, and a moderate appetite. And so, it says he's a good person. Evil eye, haughty spirit, and a gross soul. The difference between those, it's sort of self-evident, but I'm not sure how deep we can go to it. And things are not going so well for them. And so now there's something in the commentary on 20 they said that this Mishnah on 20 ends in a short prayer. It can be included as originally the last Mishnah of the tractate. The remaining are basically added in the post Mishnah times, and so he's saying that these are things added to what was not in the Mishnah in the beginning. And so I don't know what it means. That basically these are added sayings by later people, and they're saying that you're supposed to grow old and worn in it, and do not budge from it. And there's nothing better. And more pain, no gain. Brilliant. And then they tell you when you're supposed to study. At 5 years of age, you start studying the scripture, 10, the study of Mishnah, 13, to observe the mitzvot, 15, the study of Talmud, 18 for marriage, 20 to pursue a livelihood, 30 for strength, 40 understanding, 50 for counsel. I'm getting there. Now I'm in for it. At 60, you're supposed to be wise, 70, elderly, and at 80, you've got power. I've been waiting for power to come because I haven't had much so far. And at 90, you're supposed to stoop, and 100 is one who has died. And then if you go on further, you're going to live forever, which I intend to do. So I'm not sure. Any thoughts about these ages, when one man in his time does many things, according to Shakespeare? Yeah, everything in its time. Then you're supposed to continuously study Torah, and the labor is a reward. And so that's the last in 23. And I suppose we've finished this this chapter, but I wish I knew more about it. Now, what time is it? Is it time to go thinking about it? Yes, we got 20 minutes. So let's take a break and we'll see if we can get the technology working over here. I'd like to get this tablet attached to the for the service, and I forgot the
You should probably stop the YouTube stream.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Not sure.
I don't know. I can push end, but that'll do. How do you stop the YouTube stream here?
What if I press end?
End is going to end the whole thing, I
Okay,
suppose.
let me see.
I don't think so, because end is, well, no, actually that might, because it's your meeting, right? Because it's leave for everybody else, but end for you. Is that right?
Can you end the YouTube stream right now?
Can I?
Yeah.
I don't think the co-host can do that. I think only the host can manipulate the stream.
And the host doesn't know what he's doing.
Let me see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, as co-host, I can view the stream and I can also send people a link to the stream, but I can't stop it. There's a little arrow next to the YouTube icon that drops down, and I get two options. You might have more.
YouTube, where's the YouTube icon?
Let me see if I can minimize the Zoom so that I can find YouTube. Do you know how I can minimize Zoom on my iPad so that I can find the YouTube app? Do you know how to do that?
Maybe it's under view.
On an iPad, I'm not sure, but I suspect that's actually not right. I suspect that your YouTube
Minimize the meeting, background and filter, stop live stream. I can stop live stream. Is that it?
Probably.